Hello darlings, you are welcome to Z-Star Africa, your home of drama updates. This is the July finale of Advocate Anjali. Previously on Advocate Anjali. Anjali agreed to a fake marriage with Aman to help him, but the lie spiraled out of control. The Rajput were shaken, Padwa felt betrayed, and Anjali was forced to choose between love and justice. In the midst of it all, she stood her ground and vowed to fight for what's right. Moving forward, Anjali's world shattered in silence when the police delivered the news. Shivani Tripathi, the woman she had rescued from the fire, was gone. Her death hit harder than expected, not just because of the tragedy, but because Shivani had spoken the truth before dying. Her final words were now the key to a case that could shake everything. Still grieving, Anjali turned to Ahan, her voice thick with anguish. She blamed him about their marriage, for letting things spiral, for not standing up sooner, for being part of the very system that tried to bury women like Shivani. Ahan, eyes filled with quiet pain, didn't argue. Instead, he whispered something she didn't expect, that he never wanted any of this, that he never wanted to hurt her, and that he was falling in love with her. The confession lingered in the room like incense, delicate and warm. But Anjali couldn't let herself feel it. The fire inside her was stronger than romance. Her frustration erupted, and she slapped him. Not out of hate, but out of heartbreak, rage, and exhaustion. The call to justice was louder than anything else. She wiped her tears, picked up her phone, and called the police, instructing them to ensure Shivani's murderer didn't escape. That single moment marked her rebirth. She wasn't just a lawyer anymore. She was a storm. When Prakash was accused of murdering his wife, Anjali didn't hesitate. She charged into the case, unearthing evidence no one dared to touch. What she found turned the tide, proving this wasn't just a domestic dispute, but a deliberate act of cruelty rooted in deep misogyny. As she presented the facts, whispers turned into gasps. Her courage rattled the Rajput, especially Daghav, who demanded she withdraw. When threats didn't work, they tried bribery, wads of money, promises of power. But Anjali refused it all. She told them her prize wasn't wealth, it was justice. She was fighting not just for Shivani, but for every silenced voice they tried to erase. But the deeper she dug, the more the Rajput panicked. Kavya led a charge, cornering Anjali with questions about her marriage. Was it real? Was it a lie? Anjali stood her ground, refusing to explain herself. Even her father Ganesh, swayed by the weight of public shame, began to question her. His words hurt more than the threats. Yet, not everyone had turned against her. Gaurav, calm and observant, began quietly standing by her side. And Abhay, once bitter and mocking, dropped a bombshell of his own. He confessed he never truly loved Ginni. His heart, for years, had always longed for Anjali. The timing was cruel, but the words were honest. Anjali looked away, heart heavy with new truths, but she had no space for misplaced affections. In the middle of chaos, Aman began trying to bridge the space between them. One night, he cooked a simple meal for Anjali, nothing elaborate, just something warm and thoughtful. For the first time in days, Anjali allowed herself to breathe. They talked. He teased her gently, telling her that for a woman so strong, she sure worried a lot. Her silence wasn't cold this time. It was soft, fragile, like she was beginning to see him differently. But peace never lasted long. Kavya, sensing her grip slipping, made her next move. She convinced Chandrabhan to invite Aman and Anjali to a gathering, a celebration wrapped in tradition, but under its warmth, danger simmered. The Rajput arrived with forced smiles. But in the midst of the flames and the festivities, Aman and Anjali danced. It was unexpected, a dance that felt like a truce. Their eyes met more than once, and something shifted. But just as she started to let her guard down, attack came. Avan shielded her, holding her like she mattered. Afterward, Anjali had had enough. She stood before Chandrabhan and accused him outright of plotting her downfall. Then, she turned to Nandini, the woman who once called her daughter-in-law, and asked why she had knowingly put her in harm's way. In a desperate attempt to control the narrative, Raghav agreed to something unexpected: a formal wedding between Aman and Anjali. The goal was to force them into exposing whatever lie the family believed they were hiding. But as the preparations began, the truth exploded in front of everyone. Aman didn't hold back. He looked directly at Anjali and confessed that he truly loved her, not because he had to, but because he couldn't help it. The silence that followed was thunderous. Anjali, stunned, couldn't even speak. All she could do was feel the world tilt under her feet. It wasn't a lie anymore. It wasn't a performance. Something real had bloomed. The days that followed were full of tension and tenderness. Aman began teasing her, watching how she tried to hide her concern when he didn't return on time. She refused to admit it, but he saw it in her eyes. And yet, their bubble was constantly pierced by the venom of others. At the police station, Anjali tried to file a complaint against Chandrabhan, but Daghav, as always, stepped in to shield the guilty. The power struggle was exhausting, but Anjali didn't back down. The Rajput changed tactics. They began using Sapna, her mother, to emotionally sway her. Raghav fed Sapna lines, hoping guilt would do what fear couldn't. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Yuvraj plotted with Chandrabhan, a cold, cruel plan to destroy Anjali completely. They didn't just want her silenced. They wanted her ruined, erased, humiliated beyond repair. But what they didn't count on was the woman they were dealing with. Anjali had come too far to crumble. She wasn't fighting just a case anymore. She was fighting a war against a house that hid its sins behind its name. Against men who thought money could bury the truth. Against women who weaponized tradition to tear each other down. She was no longer the girl they underestimated. And while Kavya spun in jealousy, Abhay ached with regret, and Raghav clung to power, Anjali stood at the center of the storm with fire in her eyes. Ahan's love may have come late, but it was growing stronger. And in that love, Anjali found a quiet strength. She wasn't alone anymore, but even if she was, she would still fight. Because this battle was never just about her. It was about every woman like Shivani. Every girl like Padma. Every truth they tried to hide. And the fire inside Anjali? It was just getting started.